What's up, everyone? Welcome to the channel. So I went through and manually tested all of the weapon changes from the Season 2 update that we just had a couple days ago. I've gotten all those up on TGD, so this video is going to be just me going through every single weapon that was changed and comparing the Season 1 version to the Season 2 version, mostly just time to kill charts because I just want to see how the actual damage profiles affected that time to kill rather than the damage values themselves. I also updated the RPM values, so damage profiles, RPM values are all up to date. I haven't done like the ADS time changes and things like that. But the main important time to kill numbers, those have all been updated. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go through all of this. As always, if you guys appreciate the content I make, appreciate the effort that goes into the website, don't forget to drop a sub to the channel and drop a like on the video and a comment. But let's get into it and we will talk about the Season 2 changes. So in the patch notes, the first one is the M13B. It says that they increased damage at mid-range and increased upper torso damage. So on TGD, let's go to the M13. And I've got both of them on here. So we got M13B and then M13B Season 1. Both of these are available to compare on TGD. The damage values are here as well if you want to go through that. I'm not going to personally go through that, but they are there if you want to. So let's just go straight to the comparison chart and go to combination 250 health. So Season 1 versus Season 2. Season 1 is the orange M13, and then the more reddish color is the Season 2 M13B. You can see in the first damage range, the combination shot location actually leads to a higher TTK. They did more than just change what they said they changed, so that's why that happened there. And then from 31.8 meters out to 40 meters, the Season 2 M13 does kill a little bit faster, but then it's a little bit slower after that. So really, overall, this was kind of just a nerf to the M13, which I don't really think it needed. So I think that's a little bit odd there. Next up, we have the Kastov 762. It says small damage reduction and then added additional long-range damage fall-off. So let's compare the two Kastovs real fast. So I can just search for that weapon and add Season 1 and Season 2 versions. If there's no season, it's going to be the current up-to-date one. And then if there's in parentheses a season going forward, that'll be the previous patch version. So we got both of them added here. Scroll down and check out the combination 250 health shot location chart here. So we've got, again, Kastov 762. The orange is the Season 1 version, and the more reddish color is the 762 for Season 2. You can see pretty much a dramatic nerf here. I mean, just a huge difference in time to kill. It's the same up close, but then out past 28.4 meters, it gets much, much worse in time to kill for combination. So a really, really big nerf to the Kastov 762. Onto the Lachmann 762, so we've got decreased full auto head and torso damage, increased semi-auto upper torso damage, increased semi-auto rate of fire, reduced full auto recoil, and increased damage on long range. And then they also added that completely different damage profile for damage against armor at range. If you look at this on TGD, it's interesting. So I've got the Lachmann 762 on the left here. This is the Season 2 version. And on the right side, I have the 762 for Season 1. So if you look at the RPM, Season 1, TGD had listed 492, and that was from Sim. So I don't know if that was my mistake or what was going on there, but they said that they increased the semi-auto fire rate for Season 2. But I had 492 before, and when I tested it, I got 358 for Season 2. So it was actually, at least from my perspective, a dramatic reduction in the RPM. So if we reflect that in the actual TTK chart, let's look at damages first so you can see that what they said is true. They increased the neck and chest were 60 before. Now they are 50, or they were 57 before, and now they're 60. And then out at range, let's look at it there. So we got a little more headshot damage at range, a little more neck and chest shot damage, and stomach shot damage. Basically just the last damage drop off is better damage now. But if we look at this on the time to kill chart, so I'll shrink this down and then just look at the comparison over here. Looking at the time to kill chart, Season 1 is the orange, Season 2 is the more reddish color. You can see Season 2 is much worse across the board, and that's because of that RPM difference. Even though it hits harder, supposedly it has a faster RPM in Season 2, but compared to what I had from the sim data, it actually looks a lot worse. I don't know which is correct, but either way, you could never actually semi-auto fire at 480 RPM or whatever it was in Season 1, so it didn't matter that much. You can potentially get up to it like a little over 300, 350 if you're really good at clicking fast or pulling the trigger fast. So this is more of a realistic RPM now for Season 2 anyway. So numbers are decent, nothing crazy here, but it's a decent gun. FTAC Recon, we've got decreased full auto upper torso damage. We're not going to be looking at the automatic versions of these guns. I'm just looking at the default fire version. for now. So sped up ADS time, that's something that I have not added to TGD yet. I just did full damage profiles and RPM values, and it took me a long time. It took me all day. So it says increased close range damage distance, increased lower torso damage multiplier, and then they also added that minimum damage against armor. That's my plan for tonight after this video comes out, is I'm going to go test all these damage against armor things and see if I can get that programmed into TGD and tested. It's going to be tricky, but I'll try. But anyway, let's go compare these two. So we've got FTAC before and after the patch. Again, orange is Season 1, and then red is, the more reddish color, is Season 2. On combination, 250 health. The new FTAC Recon does a little bit better time to kill. It's like one less shot to kill out at range, anywhere past 42 meters. So a nice little buff to the FTAC Recon. I don't know that it's really meta, but it is a little bit better. On to the SO14, it says increased semi-auto rate of fire, increased long-range damage, reduced semi-auto headshot damage, and then added that same damage armor values. So increased semi-auto rate of fire, let's check that out real fast. So for Season 1, 429 is what I had. For Season 2, I got 481. So a little bit of a buff there to fire rate. But again, if you're using this semi-auto, you can't fire it that fast. Unless you're using a macro or you're using scroll wheels of fire, you can't shoot that fast. So it's really like a, I don't know why they do that, because it's just like asking for people to abuse it. It's asking for someone to make a macro or use scroll wheel. I don't understand why you'd ever have a semi-auto weapon capped like well above like the known limit of what people can click. But anyway, back to the actual time to kill chart. It's just one less shot to kill everywhere, so that's a pretty big buff across the board. But again, it's you can't actually click this fast, so you're never going to get 500 millisecond time to kill. So it's kind of like a inaccurate time to kill here. Taq-V was a very popular weapon in Season 1. It was my favorite sniper support for sure, which sounds weird, but it was crazy how you could build that thing for sniper support. So decreased mid-range damage, increased semi-auto torso damage, reduced semi-auto leg damage, decreased full auto head damage, and decreased full auto head damage again. So we did it twice. Reduced semi-auto rate of fire. So really not a big change to automatic here, just mid-range damage and then full auto head damage. So let's see how that reflects in the time to kill. Going down to the comparison again. So this was a pretty vicious nerf to the Taq-V, which makes me sad because it was one of those guns that was kind of hard to use, but it was really good if you could master it. It had a lot of recoil, a lot of visual recoil. So orange is Season 1. Taq-V, you can see how it just had that crazy time to kill all the way out to about 45 meters. And now it has a bunch of drop-offs and just hits a lot less hard. So that's pretty sad. I really liked that gun, and it's kind of completely out of the meta now. Next up, we have the automatic X13 pistol. So this says reduced damage while using Akimbo, increased lower body damage, increased close range damage, and increased damage distances. I actually forgot to test these values for the non-Akimbo version, but I actually did get the full damage profile for Akimbo. So we can actually do that on TGD now. You can select Akimbo rear grip. So it doubles the RPM, obviously, because you have two pistols. And then if we look at the actual time to kill between the two, X13 Auto is the second one. This is the Akimbo version. Combination 250. So you can see even with the nerf to the damage values, like it hits really low damage now. But even so, it still has ridiculous time to kill in that first damage range. So I don't think it's going to be nerfed that badly. I think it's still going to be a really good option to pick up as your secondary. On to the RPK. The RPK in Season 1 was pretty clearly the meta weapon. There were some other ones that were actually competitive, but just nobody used them because as soon as the meta is found, everyone just dives on that, even though there's other weapons that are still pretty good. But it definitely, it was overwhelmingly the most picked long-range weapon. So small reduction to ADS movement speed. I didn't measure that, like I said at the beginning of the video. I just did damage values in RPM. Reduced mid and long-range damage, reduced damage ranges, and small increased ADS time. Again, I don't have that on TGD yet. But as far as actual time to kill values, so it's basically the same. Combination TTK ends up being the same out to about 60 meters, but beyond that, it is at least one extra shot to kill. So that is a bit of a nerf. I do think it's going to be pretty viable still. It's just the recoil is really good on it, which is one of the main reasons. Like recoil is king all the time at long range. So even though the TTK got a little bit worse, I do think it's still going to be a very viable pick. But I don't think it's going to be overwhelmingly meta anymore. Like I still think you can use it, but I do think that there's going to be other weapons that will compete. Maybe a few that'll actually sneak in and be better than the RPK. Now for the marksman rifles, the EBR-14 got a little bit of a buff. It says, or a little bit of a nerf, reduced long range damage, but they did increase the torso damage, so it might sometimes kill a little bit faster up close with those torso shots, but out at range, it's probably going to be slower. And then again, they added the minimum damage against armor. So I'll be checking that out, like I said, after this video tonight. I'll probably stream it actually. So if you want to watch me do all the testing for this, come over to twitch.tv/TrueGameDataLive. So I'll be live checking out these armor damage values. It's going to be annoying. I'll have 3 computers set up so I can actually test this stuff myself. But yeah, that'll be good because I can finally get the really accurate time to kill for Warzone. But looking at the actual changes here, EBR for Season 2 is the red, and then orange is Season 1. So out at range. Everywhere else it's the same, but out past 71 meters, there's an extra shot to kill now for the EBR in Season 2, and that's because they reduced that damage at longer ranges. I don't really think it needed this. Like they need to be good because they use sniper ammo and they are single shot, so they're a little harder to use. I don't really think the EBR needed a nerf. It wasn't like it was being abused or anything. They are going for just longer TTK in general, but I mean, it wasn't like this thing was killing crazy fast and being used a ton. So I don't know, a little odd to see nerfs like that in my opinion. Onto the Taq-M. I actually think the Taq-M could be pretty nasty in this patch. We'll see. It'll be fun to mess with at least. So a slight increase to rate of fire, increased upper torso damage, and then they also added a minimum damage against armor. So if we look at this, this is the Season 2 Taq-M. I got 235 RPM when I tested this, and Season 1, if we go toggle to that, you can see 231 RPM. So it was actually, like I said, a very slight change to RPM. I'm not really sure why. Like 4 RPM seems like an odd choice, but let's go look at the time to kill chart here. You can see that it can have crazy time to kill in the first damage range, and that lasts all the way out to 53 meters with no attachments. So if you start putting some attachments on there that increase that damage range, I think it could be a pretty nasty, pretty fun weapon to use. So if we look at the actual damage values here for the Season 2 version, you can see why the time to kill is so crazy in the first range. It does 91 damage to the neck and chest. So you do 2 shots, you've done 182 damage, and then just 1 stomach shot or 1 headshot. So it's usually going to be a 3-shot kill if you hit like the standard shot locations, which is pretty crazy in that first damage range. Vaznev, it says they reduced the mid to long range damage. When they say they change a gun, I don't ever just test the one thing that they say they change, because a lot of the time if they touched the gun, then other things got tweaked and maybe it got missed when it was put in the patch notes, or maybe they omit some things on purpose. So I retested all of these entire damage profiles. I didn't just check the thing they said they changed. So we've got the orange Vaznev Season 1, and then reddish color is Vaznev Season 2. You can see out to 18.5 meters. The combination time to kill is exactly the same from Season 1 and Season 2. But then out past that, from 18.5 to 25 meters, you get 1 extra shot to kill for the Season 2 Vaznev. And then from 24 out to 45 meters, 2 extra shots to kill for the Season 2 Vaznev. So a little bit of a nerf, but really doesn't affect it very much in that first damage range. As I'm going through this, I just want to remind you guys, if you want to help support TGD, Christina, and me both, this is our full-time job building this website, making YouTube videos, and trying to, build tools that actually really help the community. I've got some awesome stuff that I'm building right now. I'm not going to spoil it, but I'm really excited for at least a couple of the things that I'm building right now. Hopefully those are out in the next month or so. But if you want to support, the best way is just a premium sub on TGD. Obviously, you don't have to. We appreciate you just watching the video, just supporting in any way, but I just wanted to mention that. So the Minibak got a pretty bad nerf. I'm not really sure why. Again, it was like a decent gun, but it wasn't overpowering, at least in my opinion. So reduced damage ranges, reduced lower body torso damage at close range, reduced lower body damage at mid to close range, and then added a minimum damage against armor. Again, I'll be live tonight to test that, twitch.tv/TrueGameDataLive. But let's look at the actual time to kill chart here. Combination 250 health, orange Season 1, red Season 2. You can see it's basically 1 extra shot to kill across the board for the whole damage range until really long range, where it's about the same with a couple drop-offs that mix up a little bit. But yeah, it's just a little odd. I mean, it was good. It was a good weapon, but not that many people using it. Last up, we have the Fennec 45. Again, this was basically the penultimate meta weapon for close range in Season 1. It was really accurate. It had ridiculous time to kill. So they say they decreased damage overall, very vague there, and then decreased headshot damage, added a minimum damage against armor. So let's look at what I actually found when I tested this. So this is the Season 2 values for damage, head, neck, chest, stomach, upper arm, upper leg, lower leg. So in the first damage range, the only thing that changed was that headshot damage. So decreased damage overall, I don't really think is true, because in the first range, the only thing that changed was the headshot damage, which was listed as a separate point. I'm not going to go through all of these probably, but looking at the most important ones, like the first 2 damage ranges, you can see Season 1, again, for the second damage range, actually, I got a little bit extra damage to the upper arm or to the extremities for Season 2. So first 2 damage ranges, you got reduced headshot damage, but everything else is the same, and extremities were slightly increased in the second damage range. So it's really almost an unimportant nerf to the Fennec. It really is not going to make that much of a difference. If we look at the shots to kill tool, so this is the tool on TGD. It's a premium feature that shows you how many shots on a separate shot location will change the time to kill. So even with the 35 headshot damage in that first damage range, 0 meters, if you look at the 250 health shot location tool, 8 chest shots and 1 headshot still reduce the time to kill. So nerfing that headshot damage didn't even change it from requiring more than 1 headshot off that chest shot to reduce the time to kill. So this is just like almost not even really a nerf, and that's exactly what we see reflected in the combination TTK chart. They overlap everywhere except from 18 to 23.6 meters, where Season 2 Fennec is a little bit slower, 1 extra shot to kill. Just almost an inconsequential nerf to the Fennec, so I'm not sure what that was about. They also list the Signal 50 having reduced long-range damage. That's one that I have not gotten to yet, but I got the rest of them. But yeah, that's it for the video. I just wanted to go through and cover Season 1 versus Season 2. So Fennec didn't really get nerfed. It's still going to be the best SMG, unfortunately. RPK did get nerfed. I do think it's still a viable pick, but I do think there's plenty of other weapons that you can use now. I don't think you only can use the RPK like it felt like in Season 1 a lot of the time. But yeah, that's it for this video, guys. If you appreciated it, don't forget to drop a sub to the channel, like the video, comment on the video, and like I said, I'll be live over on Twitch right after this video goes up to try to find these armor plate damage values. So I'll see you there, twitch.tv/streetgamedaylive. Thanks for watching.